Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is the Eccles Unlimited podcast. I am your host, Terrence Eccles. And first and foremost, I would just like to thank everyone who supported my last video, my last podcast about Black Lives Matter. And I just want to thank everyone who shared the video, watched the video, subscribed to the channel, clicked, whatever you did. I just wanted to thank everyone who supported me and who reached out and who showed love to not only myself and but this issue as well, and took notice of what's going on in this country and the people who really want to make a difference and who want to make a change. I thank you, and I appreciate every single one of you who watched that video, and it meant a lot to me, and I'm so appreciative of all of you. But something had to be said. And we must continue to say things. We must continue to keep this topic in our minds, whether it's on the front burner or whether it's in the back of our mind. We must not forget about the fact that this has been an issue in our country, and it's been an issue across the world. So we must continue to take a stand against those who oppress, those who hate, those who lack knowledge, not those who aren't supportive of this issue, because this issue isn't about politics. A lot of people are making this into a political issue, whether you're on the right or the left. It's not about politics. It's not a political issue whatsoever. This is an issue about human rights. This is an issue that involves many people of color, many people who are from minority backgrounds and minority situations, where the police and the general perception of people as in America, as well as the law enforcement police officers, do not see them the same way that they see Caucasian people or white people. They see a lot of minority people as a threat to society, a threat when they are approached, a threat in an interaction within a minority person, and we must change that narrative. We must change the idea that not only black and brown people, but all people of color are some considered to be more of a threat to public safety and to public health than a regular white person. So there's just a couple things that I would like to address. While it's important to speak out and to take action against these problems and these systems that are in place and here in America, we can't shame those who don't exactly speak out and don't exactly support the same way that you support. If someone shares the same sentiment, then I don't think it is necessary for us to want to go out and to shame people into making statements and making protests and getting involved in the protests. People are going to get involved in the protests because they want to be involved in the protests and they want to see a change. Our job is to continue to help people to want to try to make a change. We can't force them to take action if they don't actually believe in that. So the goal right now is to just continue to change people's minds, to continue to educate each other, continue to show love and spread love to all people. That is something that is shared by many people across the world. I know myself and my fellow Christians, we believe in loving all and to continue in forgiveness and to show support for those who need it. And I know that that's something that a lot of people in my life and a lot of people who I've interacted with in the past few days have definitely taken into account, and definitely a lot of people have been starting to show their support and to show genuine interest in wanting to make a change here in America. While there are many people who have shown support during these times, we also must address those who may not have shown that support and those who may not believe in this fight and believe in the issues that exist here in America. So what I've seen recently is a lot of outrage on social media about the riots and the looting that's been going on in different states and cities here in America. And I understand that's very understandable to be upset about riots and looting. Buildings are burning, people are losing their business, people are stealing things. It's not right. It's not the proper way to get change here in this country. But we can't forget that there are a lot of people doing good during these times. There are people peacefully protesting. There are people donating. There are volunteers. There are so many people out here doing good, and we can't not dwell on those who have made this issue more about themselves than about the community, because the people who are still worried about the communities that they live in and the future of the people in their lives are those who deserve to receive the recognition and to receive the media coverage and to receive all of the accolades right now and all the attention. We cannot let a few people who have done terrible things ruin that for the rest of us. So while I understand that the violence and the looting and the destruction is something that is not okay and something that we should definitely condemn and people should look down upon those types of actions, we can't let that distract us and from the people who are doing good and the issue at hand. And while on that same topic, a lot of people I've noticed have been more upset about the issue of the violence and the destruction and looting than they have been with the unjust deaths of the many black people and other people of color who have lost their lives due to this system and who have been failed by this system that is currently in place here in America. And keep it in mind, the riots and the looting would never have happened, which started off as peaceful protests. I'm not going to let that go unnoticed, is that these started off as peaceful protests, and for one reason or another, one or a few of them have turned into riots and have turned into destruction and looting. And it's while that is terrible, we cannot forget that it started peacefully. So I've noticed that more people have been more upset about that than they have been more upset about the fact that this country has been failing its black people. It's been failing other people of color for centuries upon centuries. And we cannot forget that. We cannot forget that all of this would never have happened if black people have received the same love and the same opportunities as our counterparts and the rest of the people in this country. So ask those who are more critical of the destruction and who are more critical to support the law enforcement and to support the other people who are involved and other people who are not the currently oppressed African Americans, the currently oppressed people of color in this country. I ask you, if you are more supportive of those people than you are those who are actually being oppressed and those who are actually being killed in the streets in cold blood, and then having the murderers not be convicted of any serious crime. If you are more upset about the fact that a few buildings were burned than you are about human life being lost, I really ask you to please do some introspection and please understand why these protests are going on. People are losing their lives because of people who are supposed to protect them. Law enforcement officers and judge and juries are in place in this country to protect us. Law enforcement are there to enforce the law, execute the law, while the justice system is meant to interpret the law and protect people. But people don't feel protected. That is the issue. That is the issue that is being protested. That is the issue that is at hand. People don't feel protected by the people who are supposed to protect them. This is a problem. People aren't doing their jobs correctly. People are letting these racist thoughts, these maybe not even explicit racism. It's most of it isn't explicit racism. Like I explained in my last video, that it's not explicit anymore. There are these subtle racist thoughts, these subtle racist ideas that have been ingrained in this country and have been ingrained into our justice and our law enforcement systems that have allowed people to get away with murdering and hurting and trying to enforce the law when they have no business doing so, and people losing their lives because of this. I ask each and every one of you who's more critical of the fact that there are protests going on and riots and stuff like that, who are more critical of that than are more critical of the people who have abused their power. Our president is currently one of those people who has not shown as much support for the people who are actually being oppressed during this time. Our president is using social media as a platform, which is a great tool, an amazing tool, and he has not used social media to support the oppressed people and to support the people who are hurting. He has used social media to put out threats. He has used social media to make open threats to his citizens that he's supposed to serve. This is a fact. He has spent more time dwelling on the fact that there are riots going on than the fact that there has been a problem in the system that he is a part of. There's been a problem in the system that has failed many black people. And the issue is that many people are just valuing property and goods over human life. And the future of our country is not going to be determined based on some buildings and some riots going on. While that's terrible, and it should not be going on, people should not be destructing property, especially if it is property that of someone who has worked hard for that property and someone who was doing the right thing in history. That shouldn't happen. That should not be occurring right now. But what also should not be occurring is how we find out almost every week, every month, that there's been a new example, that there's been a new example of injustice going on, a new example of someone being failed by the systems put in place here in America. And I ask those who are still not supporting and who still believe that all lives matter, I ask you to stop hiding behind the mask of calling something non-American when America was founded off of these types of riots. The Revolutionary War was a rebellion. It was rebellion against an oppressive system. This country has thrived and has lived because of rebellions against oppressive systems. This country is about freedom. So let us please just continue to use this time to educate each other on the history of this country, on the fact that there are issues still present in this country, and what we can do to make a change. There are so many things that we could do to make a change. You could take the time to have a conversation. If someone is not feeling the same way and does not feel that these protests and that there is a big issue going on with racism in this country, and there's a big issue going on with prejudice and people who have subliminal racist thoughts and people who have these unconscious racial reactions and racial thoughts, if you don't believe in that and you believe that America doesn't have a problem with racism, and that the protests don't really mean anything, and that we are just wasting our time, and that if you feel any type of way that is different from what I am saying here today, please, my DMs are open. I'm willing to sit down and have a conversation with you. I'm willing to get on the phone. I'm willing to text message you. I would love to have a conversation with anyone who feels differently than I do, because this is not a political issue. And if you don't believe if you believe it is a political issue, let's talk about that. But please, let's continue. Let's have conversations. Let's not get mad at each other because someone has a different viewpoint. Let's talk. Let's educate. Let's love. And I really would like to point out that if you have no problem showing those types of videos where people who have been defending their stores from looters and rioters, and who have gotten brutally beaten up and who have lost their businesses because of this, but you don't have the same reaction to the video of George Floyd with a man on the back of his neck, kneeling on the back of his neck, a man who is supposed to protect him and serve him, a man who's supposed to protect and serve everyone around him. If you have an easier time sharing the video of people being angry about the riots and people being angry about the looting, but you don't have the same exact if you don't have the same reaction for those who are angry about the oppressive systems in this country and black people who have been losing their lives for years because of this issue, please get in my DMs, get my phone number, please text me, call me. I would love to have a conversation with you. I'm here to talk at all times. So I just want to thank everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for watching, for subscribing. I really appreciate all of your support. And yeah, thank you everyone.